The Def Jam New Generation Performance is going to be a live event held in New York City celebrating Def Jam's 30th anniversary this year. I decided to specifically do an event which, if possible, events would have carried on throughout the entire week for the 30th anniversary. And on Friday night, I wanted to have a new generation performance of new Def Jam artists that recently have been signed to the label. This performance is worthy of a television special because Def Jam is a legendary and iconic organization that has been around for the past 30 years, bringing about not just hip hop, but Def Poetry Jam, Def Comedy Jam, really putting hip hop culture in the hip hop movement on the map. The live performances taking place will be in this exact order in these particular increments. So Frank Ocean will perform first, then it'll be a 15-minute interval, and then for 15 minutes, then Janae Aiko will perform for 15 minutes, then Jeremiah will also perform for 15 minutes. Fabulous will perform for 20 minutes, YG will perform for 20 minutes, and August Alsina will perform for 20 minutes. J. Cole will perform for 30 minutes, Big Sean will perform for 30 minutes, and 2 Chainz and possibly bringing out Iggy Azalea will also perform for 30 minutes. All of these artists will have 2 to 5 minute intervals for stage change. Like I mentioned before, I chose specifically these artists because they are Def Jam's newest artists on the scene. They're really getting a lot of buzz out right now, and I think it would make for a great performance. Def Jam is a New York-based label, and I figured where better should you hold this performance than in New York City. So I decided to do it in New York for that particular reason. It's a beautiful venue. It's from the 1920s. It seats up to 1,500 people, and I wanted a venue that would fit a large amount of people, so I thought that would be great. And the prices itself weren't as expensive as I expected it to be. So that was one of the main reasons why I decided to choose this venue. I also chose this venue because it came with a lot of amenities like stage crew. You were able to use their equipment, their stage crew. They were able to offer deals as far as set up and breakdown for the performance. So I really did think that this was a great opportunity to use this particular venue. Okay, so the cost that I budgeted for this particular performance was the talent cost, which basically cost the most, was because these artists do not come by cheap, but I decided to claim that Def Jam, because it's their artists, were able to provide some kind of discount, since moreover the money is still kind of going back to them as far as them being the distributor of their music to begin with. Production costs, well, so that was $150,000. Production costs was $1,250. Marketing costs was $2,000. Catering costs was $500. Staff costs was $4,150. The venue cost was $8,000, including all its amenities. The runner cost is $1,200. The ticketing I broke down with sections, so $100 for front rows, $65 for middle rows, and $50 for the back rows. And then any for malicious or petty cash, I figured $300 would suffice. So in total cost of the amenities alongside so all in all, it cost $257,500 for the entire event. The day of the show schedule consists with advisors arriving early in the morning, 9:30 a.m. to get everything checked out as far as dressing rooms and getting the person who will run reports. And we'll have tech come in by 10 a.m. 11 a.m. the box office will open so people can buy their tickets. Hospitality coordinates will also happen at that time. By 12 o'clock, the band will load in, and they can also have time for lunch in between 12 and 2:30 p.m. Then they'll have dressing rooms set up. Merchandise and concessions check-in will be around 5 p.m. Security meeting at 5:30. The crew dinner at 6. The police, well, not university police will arrive because this isn't a university, but security specifically for the perimeter of the building will arrive at 6:15. Doors open at 7. The opening act will start at 8 p.m. And I mentioned that everything's in 15 to 20 to 30 minute intervals with 2 to 5 minute changes in between. It will end at 11 and we'll load out at 11:30. Risk management. This particular picture that I put on here is actually an incident that happened with one of Def Jam's newest artists, August Alsina. He wasn't particularly happy about something that he asked not to be mentioned on live television and was asked anyway against his wishes, and he wasn't too happy about it. So I mentioned how some artists can possibly be a bit unprofessional, and that's something that you would have to deal with. But I would mention to them that these are my particular protocols, and this is what I'm looking for prior to the performance so that we can get everything extremely detailed and cleared as far as what their content will be, what songs they're particularly performing, and then possibly or specifically a dress rehearsal will be had before the performance so we have an idea of how exactly the show is going to go. For inclement weather, if this was an outside performance, that wouldn't work too well because if it rained, what would we do? So I decided to have it inside to prevent issues of inclement weather. And then a dysfunctional audience. What do you do if the audience is just too riled up and too hyper and everything just gets crazy? So extra security will be provided. Bag checks will be checked at the front, and we will not attempt to sell over the capacity of the building, tickets over the capacity of the building. What have I learned from this project? Well, firstly, I really thought it was an amazing project because you just had a chance to really put together your own show, and one day I would actually love to do something like that myself. It really got a lot of ideas, moving around in my head. I also learned that there are a lot of components that it takes to put together a large event, and even though there are so many resources online that can help you, it's still a project where you need a strong team and some people who are motivated and driven to help you create a successful event. I also learned that it's really costly to book these groups, and you have to use proper marketing tactics, and you also need to really find as many sponsors as possible so that an event like this you can break even and at least create some funds that that you can profit from, not just pay back venues and staff for the particular event that you're having.